And a good vacay Monday here on Birds 365. You got Mac and Mac, not vacay for us, vacay for the Philadelphia Eagles, seeing as everybody's taking some downtime. Well, not yesterday. A bunch of them got out and played a little softball up in Allentown that we'll talk about in a second. But for the next 6 weeks, maybe 7, who the hell knows, knowing the Eagles, they may just show up for the first preseason game without actually practicing or working out or whatever. So we don't know when we're going to get on-field activity other than the softball field with the Eagles. But Johnny and I will be talking Birds for you every single day, Monday through Friday, right here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. While you're at it, feel free to hit the like button early. Like, share, and subscribe to us here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. All right, Johnny Mac, yesterday, did you stay home and off the roads? Because the Delaware Valley for the next 7 months is going to be a difficult place to get around.
Yeah, especially if you're going north. Yeah, that's difficult. I was not on the road, so it didn't affect me. I used to work up there. It would have affected me every day. It's going to be a bad situation because I know the traffic up there, the routes going through Northeast Philadelphia, the back roads now are going to be all it's going to be a disaster. If you want to make some money, buy some water. I saw Billy Godfather say that yesterday and sit out there because people are going to be stuck in traffic. So stand at the lights and
oh, by the way,
it's a good idea.
I told you on Friday after we wrapped up Birds 365, I was heading to Parks for a Belmont Stakes seminar. Made money Friday afternoon, lost money on Saturday afternoon, but that's all right. I love playing. And I take the Tacony Palmyra Bridge over to get on 95 right at Cotman Avenue, right where it all went down like 40 hours after I went by there. And there's a guy you turn off the bridge, and there's a guy every single day there. It doesn't matter. Anytime at 4 o'clock in the morning, there's the guy there with the water and the soft pretzels, which aren't really soft anymore by the time you get there. But yeah, he's going to have
that seasoning of exhaust fume, which makes them that much better.
Yeah. Oh, it's tremendous. But tough break for the city. And again, I was there less than 2 days ahead of time. Luckily, no injuries, but this is going to be months. And it's actually a good thing as tied to Birds 365. It is the Eagles offseason because a lot of people travel down 95 to get the Eagles games and the preseason. The main push is the regular season. We do have months before the Eagles are going to actually get down there and play a game. So if you as said this has got to happen and it's going to be down for months, when would you pick? Probably this time of year. Going to make it a difficult ride for some people to get down the shore coming from northern Philadelphia and north of the city. But for everybody else, it probably came at a decent time. I'm trying to find a silver lining in this cloud, Johnny Mac, and it ain't easy.
You got a bunch of Phillies fans. They're not going to be able, it's going to be tough. I saw, the detours basically going into Jersey if you're going north. So you got to go 130, 295, Benny. So for us, it's a little bit easier if we have to go up to, New York or Foxborough, and it's still messed up. You just go on the New Jersey Turnpike. But for people on the other side of the Delaware River, it's definitely a nightmare. So
but don't kid yourself. It's going to affect those of us on the Jersey side. Because people are going to do
traffic.
They're going to come down. You're going to see more traffic on 295, which gets traffic on it all the time anyway. That much more because people are going to have to get around the shutdown on 95, and we'll use New Jersey to do so. So, be careful out there. Go slow. Add extra time to wherever your commute is. Or you know what? Better yet, screw it. Stay home. Watch Birds 365 here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel.
And like, share, and subscribe because you like and want to share us.
Yes, you like the fact that you don't have to deal with the traffic and just stay here and talk Eagles football with us. All right. Yes, they had the DeVonta Smith charity softball game up in Allentown yesterday. Somehow people were able to get around the 95 mess and get up there 10,000 strong to sell the joint out. And you got to love Eagles fans. They do come out. They support. They did it for Carson Wentz. They're doing it for DeVonta Smith now. Chance to just see their favorite Eagles, whether it's in pads or not, helmets or not, just out there having fun on a softball field. They do come out in droves. And I guess Dallas Goedert won. Our pal Chris Franklin reporting details. Dallas Goedert wins the home run challenge, which seemed to be as important as the softball game itself, much like the Major League Baseball All-Star game. You have more attention for the home run contest than you do in the game itself. It's a good venture. It's a chance for Eagle fans to get out and see their favorite players, and everybody has a good time. Right, Johnny Mac?
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, Carson's game was here a little bit easier. DeVonta's game, as you mentioned, up in Allentown. But yeah, anytime you get to get a little bit closer, Eagles fans, to their heroes, so to speak. And I'm a little surprised. Now, I wasn't there, so I did see Josh Tolentino was there from the Inquirer. I saw Chris was there, trying to see who played in the game and all that kind of stuff. I didn't see. I'm always surprised. I don't know if AJ was there. I didn't see him because he's a heck of a baseball player. Was drafted, I believe, by the Padres. Jake Elliott, I always talk about, he won the home run derby once. I was convinced they kept Richard Rodgers around as long as they could because he was such a great softball player. He's such a ringer. He was a great baseball player in college as well. So I'm a little surprised, to be honest, that Dallas won the home run derby. But hey, man, if you got it going, Dave Kingman it out of there.
More power to him. Now, here's a quasi-serious question, John. It's for a charity. It's for a good cause. They raised some good money yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know if it is for a charity.
You don't think it's charity related?
I think it's a celebrity softball game.
Okay.
Celebrity softball game.
So somebody's putting money in their pocket from 10,000 tickets sold?
I guess. Yeah.
More power to them. Yeah, shame on me. I just assumed it was a charity game because Carson's
most people do. We were talking about that, by the way, and I'm not 100% sure. I probably shouldn't say that, but we were talking about it.
I shouldn't say that it was a charity one because I don't know that it is.
Carson's was charity.
Right.
This, from what I know, this is the celebrity softball game, so there's no advertised charity. But,
okay, so
people are having fun.
Somebody may or may not have benefited. Here's the serious question. Do the Eagles frown on this?
Good question. I don't think so.
We are talking about the organization that believes less is more, Johnny Mac.
Well, anytime. I mean, look, you can get hurt walking outside. I mean, but these are young people in tremendous shape. I don't think they're going to get hurt playing softball.
Young people in tremendous shape last week when they did next to nothing at their gatherings.
Well, they I hear what you're saying. You got to live your life. You can't, and they don't have any power over it. So Nick Sirianni is not the only coach. Every coach in the world I've ever heard is control what you can control. You can control that. You have the right to control it. You can't control this. So, I mean, I guess you can worry about it.
You're right. They can't control it, but they could certainly drop hints. If there's a player who's desperate, like they're not going to tell Brandon Graham what to do. BG's BG, and he's going to be there and he's going to do whatever hell he wants. And what are you going to do? Cut him? I don't think so. But if there's a player that doesn't have any kind of guaranteed roster spot, they could tell him, what are you planning on doing at that? You be careful with that physical activity. No, DeVonta's your friend.
I can't. I mean, if you're, obviously DeVonta's a star. Dallas is a star. We talked about Dallas winning the home run derby. You mentioned Brandon Graham. I mean, you can't sell. And by the way, not to be harsh, but I'll be harsh. If the 53rd guy on the roster, I mean, if he gets hurt playing softball, I mean, all right, you go to the next 53rd guy on the roster. The guys you're worrying about.
Well, I'm not worried about the Eagles. The Eagles got 90 guys. I'm worried about that poor schnook who is the 53rd guy on the roster.
Well, then he's not going to make the team.
Ends up being out because he can't play in a softball game with DeVonta Smith.
Well, he's got to make his own decision. And I think most people, it's been a long time. I'm not in my early 20s. You're not in your early 20s, but I know if you would have told me, hey, don't go play softball in my early 20s, you might get hurt. I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? Shut up. I would have went out and played. So, I mean, they're the same way. And yeah, nobody's getting hurt playing softball. Nobody got hurt playing softball. So everything's copacetic. But yeah, you can't do that. I mean, guys, look, you worry. That's what you do. You have these huge investments in players. And I always say this lull in the offseason, you don't want the phone call, but you're mainly thinking about guys getting in trouble, doing something stupid, going out, drinking, whatever. You're mainly worried about that kind of stuff. But you can't control it. I mean, you don't have the right. We mentioned it with Jalen Carter. You don't have the right to hire a private detective and say, don't do this, don't do that. Last time I looked, we're still in the United States. You're allowed to do what you want. One of the big blowbacks with Chip Kelly back in the day was all this nonsense about putting, sleep monitors on the players, checking their urine for, how yellow was it versus, how hydrated were you? Can't do that crap. Can't. So, and remember, the NFLPA is fighting for the players, getting off on a tangent, but I did see this morning J. Mark Gibbs talking about NFL practices. Don't try to kill us, over a Pro Football Talk. Nick Saban did.
He basically laughed at the NFL practices.
Well, all the Georgia guys do too. I was bringing all the Georgia guys are the same way. They're like, this ain't hard. We practiced in Georgia. There's no union at the college level. Maybe Correct. There will be sooner rather than later because of all the NIL stuff, but there isn't up to this date. Nobody's fighting for the players. Here you got a union, and they fight for the players, and that's why you can't do all this stuff. So, yeah, it's different. But yeah, I don't think Nick Sirianni's losing any sleep because anybody played this softball.
I'm just saying one story you won't be reading this offseason is Eagles fined for abuse of practice time. That's not happening. They come out on the short end rather than the long end of pushing the envelope as to how much you can actually get in as far as practice time goes. All right,
one other story, real quick, because I want to. It is for charity, so thanks to Jamie Keene for St. Luke's Hospital Iron Pigs charity. So it is for charity.
I thought I read that somewhere, but I wasn't sure, so didn't know. The one other story I did want to touch on before we punch up our first guest, who's going to be Tommy Lawler from EaglesBlitz.com. I guess someone at a Carolina Panthers gathering asked Miles Sanders about his limited usage in last year's Super Bowl. And Miles rightfully came out and said, well, what do you think? Last game, final game, you can go ahead and ask them. He basically came out and said, yeah, he wasn't happy about it. Well, he shouldn't have been. He said, I don't want to make any headlines, but yeah, it wasn't happy about it. If that's the case that you're asking, just let it be known that you brought it up, not me. No kidding. With the 7 carries that he got, I would have been a little bit perturbed. Now, he didn't do anything with those 7 carries. And I don't think Miles' contribution or lack thereof had a major impact on the outcome of the game. He waited 4 months before saying anything. I thought the more interesting quote was when asked about potential staying with the Eagles, he said, yeah, ask them, which means it sounds like the Eagles didn't make much of an offer to Miles Sanders to begin with anyway. Anything that Miles said over the weekend surprise you, perturb you, tell you anything new that you didn't know before, John?
No. I mean, he's upset. He wanted to stay. And yeah, the Eagles weren't interested at the number he was going to get. And we talked about the valuation of that position and all that kind of stuff. And, Nick Sirianni actually liked Miles a lot. His son was a big Miles fan. He did not play well in the Super Bowl. And remember, the first play, it started on the first play of the game where he fumbled the football out of bounds and hurt his hand. So that was part of it as well. He hurt himself. And I think that was the bigger issue more than anything else. But other than Jalen Hurts, I mean, they weren't effective running the football. And running backs always want the ball and always think the next run is going to, and they should. I mean,
right.
That's part
of it. That attitude.
Yeah, they should think the next run is going to be the one that breaks. But I think also kind of missed and as Miles was banged up down the whole stretch of the season, playing with the knee brace and was playing through some things. So you give him credit for that as well. But he wasn't as effective late as he was earlier because of that reason. I think the knee, and then you compound it with the hand in the Super Bowl. Just one of those things, like Brock Purdy in the NFC Championship game. Not as serious, but he got hurt. So what, you're going in a different direction. It makes sense. But I mean, he wanted to be here. He's upset. You always see these situations, ends, and loves the team one day. It's like, well, why? I had 1,269 yards, career year. You don't want me. Why don't you want me? And it works both ways, with all the Gannon stuff and, Big Fangio coming out and, people conflating the dates and getting the dates wrong. And, if Arizona didn't want Jonathan Gannon, he would have been back as defensive coordinator. So I'm not sure what people want, and I'm not sure what Miles wants. It doesn't. It often doesn't compute, but the Eagles aren't going to pay that position. Same thing with TJ Edwards. TJ Edwards probably feels the same way. Like, what more can I do? Now, he's probably a little bit happier because he went home to his hometown team and he was a fan growing up and all that kind of stuff. So you don't hear him, but he probably feels the same way. Miles had a great season, but they're not going to pay that position, and they've proven it time and time again. So let's cut off the Dalvin Cook stuff before it even starts. They're certainly not paying him.
Okay, John, be careful. Dalvin, that had some legs when it first started rumorizing that he could become an ex-Viking. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think they're getting involved in Dalvin Cook, but hey,
had some legs. I've been telling you that for months. They signaled it. They put up the bat signal. They told everybody we're cutting them, and they just kept waiting until they finally did it.
Right. The question was, could they actually trade him? And the answer I found out was no, not with the contract, because the Eagles are not the only ones in the National Football League who have devalued running backs. The National Football League at all has devalued running backs, and it would be interesting to see where Cook lands. I'm with you. It's not going to be here in Philadelphia. All right, Johnny Mac, here with you on Birds 365. We add a third voice to the mix. Our buddy Tommy Lawler from EaglesBlitz.com up next on Birds 365.
Do you stream on a Roku?